Hello everyone, my name is CMD, and I'm the developer of the Let's Split Up fan game. Not so recently, I asked a few people both on Twitter and in the Discord linked below to ask some questions that would get answered in a video. Well, quite a few things happened in real life that delayed the video significantly, but we're finally here. Now, stand up and beware of Wendigos as I answer your questions in the first Let's Split Up Game Dev QNA. The first question we have is who will have a bigger role in the story, if any at all? Disk or Chadley? And are they gonna stick around each other? Or will they just be these two random, unrelated jock guys who you run into every now and again? Well, they will be the same character. As I believe it's implied they were supposed to be the same character, given what little we have from Liam's website as well as the pilot that aired on YouTube. So, as of which name I'm going for, I think I'm just gonna stick with Disk. Our next question goes, apologies if this has already been asked. Do you have an expected game length already in mind? As in, do you expect the average player will spend X amount of time playing? Well, I expect each day to be about 20 to 30-ish minutes long, depending on what choices are made and how fast the person reads, etc. And I'm planning between 5 or 7 days, depending on what ideas I decide to keep or add. The next question is, will there be much interaction with Carrie? And will she follow roughly the outline Liam had set out for her as suspicious of finding some mischievous Wendigos? Well, depending on what route you take, you may or may not interact with Carrie frequently. As for following what Liam potentially set her up as, I'm going for Mystery Solver and Cryptid Hunter, who's in way over her head. Don't know if that's what Liam intended, but that's what I'm deciding I'm gonna do. Alright, so as for the next question, what are each of the dev team's members' favorite parts of the game / making it? Well, I can't speak for the others, and I'm sure they'll speak for themselves in the comments or Discord or elsewhere, but for me personally, my favorite part of working on the game is seeing the cool art that the artists create, though that may be a cop-out answer. Will there be any A-frame cabins in the game? If so, how many A-frame cabins will there be? Would these theoretical A-frame cabins be a background? Would the A-frames be there for any pivotal points in the plot? Do you think D enjoys the simplistic architectural designs of an A-frame cabin? What are the devs' thoughts on an A-frame cabin? There are no A-frame cabins in Ba Sing Se. How did the devs come together to make this project? What was the development like / still like as you were making it? Well, most of the people on the project, or who have worked on the project before, were actually all friends of mine before I started working on it. The only exception to that is Plague Knight, or Biggest Fan Art, who I brought on later in development after he asked to join. Will people die? Yes. Is it really a Liam-inspired game if no one dies? How many, if any, endings are planned for the game? Well, I say well a lot, don't I? For multiple endings, though I won't say how many, because you'll have to find them. Will we see the Wendigo bros doing Wendigos stuff? Like eating people or something? Maybe. I'll go ask them. Will the game keep to the canon? What little there is of it. Time frame of LSU. Will it be modern day with those tropes? Or will it be some other time period? I'll try to keep to the canon, but there's little canon to go off of, so a lot of it will be either completely new or extrapolated from what little we have. As for the time period, it'll be like the 80s, kind of like what we see in the show. On that topic, how close to the lore at all, again, what little of it there is, will the game be? Well, with what lore we have, I think it's pretty close. But it has way more new stuff, so in a broad sense, I guess not that close by semantics and technicality. Will the player be taking an existing character's role, or be their own separate entity? Sorry if I'm asking too many questions. The player will be their own separate entity. Where will the game be available to get, attain, etc.? A website? It will be, and soon for the public, on itch.io as a demo and will be updated as more days come out. I plan to also maybe put it up on Steam, and on both platforms it would be free. There may also be a website, but we'll see about that. Will the game be more focused on the horror aspect of LSU, or on the comedy, or some other aspect of it? In some scenes and places, I would rather prefer to focus on horror, but in other places, I think focusing on comedy would probably be better. And obviously, there'll probably be a few times where the two commingle. You know, they're best friends, horror, comedy. You've seen Liam Vickers' shows before. But that all depends on my writing, which we'll find out if it's good or if it's complete abysmal dog shit. Will the game exclusively feature LSU? Or will other Liam projects have references or stuff included? For the most part, it'll just be LSU focused. However, you may find a few Easter eggs here or there, alluding to other works that Liam's made before. But I guess you'll have to see that when it comes out, won't you? Why LSU? As in, why not Cliffside or any other Liam project? Was it the setting? The relative lack of content? The characters, etc. that inspired a fan game of this project? Or something else? I've always been fascinated by the woods and Wendigos. I also think that of all the shows Liam has made, LSU fits the type of game that I'm making the most. It's pretty obvious that LSU went unexplored, and that it has largely fallen to the cliffside, unfortunately. So, I also wanted to pick it up and maybe explore a bit more. I know it'll basically be mostly new stuff, and you could argue it'd be more of my own ideas than Liam's. However, the newer stuff won't necessarily outshine the existing characters, such as D, for example. Considering the team of multiple departments, what part of the game was the most difficult or just tedious during the early stages of development? Like, any big problems? Well, writing and coding by a long shot. As the lone programmer and writer, all of the programming and writing decisions have fallen on me, which, while not super difficult, was super tedious. Imposter syndrome hasn't helped me either, as I constantly worry that my writing is subpar or my ideas may not be well received. Regardless though, I push onwards. Will you keep around old concept art or things you planned to get into the game but didn't? If so, will these be posted anywhere once the game is out? Well, it looks like there may be a few government folders and documents. How did those get into the game's folders? How long has this project been in mind? As in, when did you start thinking about it? Even before beginning to make it? This project first started as a school project in a program called Twine, believe it or not. The original Twine game is still in my possession and is absolutely nothing like the current project whatsoever. After the school project though, I immediately got the idea to make it a proper game, so here we are. How long have you all been involved with Liam stuff? Like, have you all been there since day one of SSTWL, or... Some of us started with SSTWL, Scary Storytime with Liam for those who don't know, and others started with LVA. Personally, I started with SSTWL, and didn't realize LVA was the same Liam until way after Cliffside and Internation Cube. Well, looks like that's all we have for today. I appreciate everyone who lasted long enough to make it this far without being snatched by a Wendigo. If you would like to follow and support this project, you can join our Discord and follow our Twitter. Both will be linked in the description below. More updates will come in due time, but until then, make sure to keep the lights on and your cabins locked.
Nobody told me the Skinwalker was a fucking manlet. That was tight.